Hello everyone and welcome back to Bev's Panthers. I am Braden Willenbrock, your host.
And I'm your co-host, Mia Chavez.
And today we are with Kelly Flannery, Miss Comiskey, Finn, and Anthony. So I'm going to start us off, since we're 2 weeks into the new year. What are some New Year's resolutions that we have, and how are we maintaining them? Anybody can start.
Some New Year's resolutions I have are going to the gym more and spending more time with my family.
Yeah.
And so far, those have been going pretty good. I've been going to the gym pretty oftenly and spending time with my family.
Yeah. Those are important ones. Keeping healthy.
For me, it's probably just fueling my body better. So eating more fruits and vegetables and just giving it like the power it needs to get through the day.
Yeah, make sure you get all 5 of those food groups. That's right. I know that's right. Anthony, Miss Comiskey.
Mine's just like eat healthy and just like go to the gym as much as possible.
Yes, okay, mix of the two.
And I would say I'm right there with you guys. I'm very fortunate that I work at the school, so there's a freebie gym for me to use all the time, and I started riding the bicycle again. I did it all of last year, but I kind of slacked off this year, and now I'm back to using a little bit of time every single day to go ride the bicycle for at least 20 minutes, in addition to walking and, eating more fruits and vegetables. But having the facilities here is kind of nice to have.
Yes. And for those of you who talked about eating better, how has that been going? I know we were only 2 weeks into the new year, but...
You can start.
Terrible.
Oh, great. Perfect. I'm glad.
It's been going pretty well. I'm noticing improvements in my mood, obviously. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well with it.
That's a great segue, actually, mood, into our second question. Since we're in winter and seasonal depression, LOL, how are we going to combat seasonal depression, especially with long days ahead of us, short days ahead of us, but like long school days ahead of us and everything feeling very dull, as Miss Big has said.
Slug bug.
How are we going to combat seasonal depression and keep ourselves happy, and how can we rally the school together to create a more positive environment?
Especially now that there's no February break.
Especially now that there's no February break.
I think it's important to like occupy yourself, like find things to do, like with your friends and family. Yeah.
Building off what Finn was saying, I completely agree. I live every day with the method of just doing what you love and never letting anything else stop you. So that's my way.
Of course. Important.
Yeah, just like hang out with friends and like do like sports, something with like other kids.
Yeah. And what sport do you play? Because I see that you have a hockey.
Hockey, golf, and lacrosse.
Okay, tri-sport. I see.
Same thing. I like to do things that make me happy. So I do love teaching here at school, but I do love to knit, and I do a lot of knitting in the wintertime, and I also play the guitar and sing. And I try and make time for that every single day because that just makes me happy. I walk every morning, and this morning I was taking my regular picture like I do over the harbor, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a little bit lighter today than it was yesterday, and that just made my whole mood change right there.
I love that.
You can just see it already. Yep.
Oh, yeah. It's starting to come back.
Uh-huh.
The sun
Yep.
will come out.
Can you guys sing a duet?
Tomorrow. Yes, bring your guitar. We will duet. It'll be great. As we mentioned earlier, we have no February break, meaning that we will be going to school all of January, all of February, all of March, and then half of April. So as students and as a teacher, how do we feel we can combat kind of feeling, as Miss Biggs said, slug buggy, and like get more motivated for school with these long school weeks, and generally feel more motivated and more academically driven.
Just like rely on the weekends to like rest yourself and just like hopefully sports will get me through it.
Yeah, I think just like keep your head down, just go forward, and rely on the weekends.
Rely on the weekends, but also now we have Saturday school once a month, so there goes one day of the weekend, which is difficult. But also that being said, exactly what you two were saying, rely on the weekends, but also try and treat every single second of downtime you have to the best of your ability, like we already said, doing what you love and knitting or singing or whatever.
Many times I felt when we had February vacation, I didn't really need a vacation because of midterms. And midterms are coming perfectly placed this time of year. They're usually, they're 1 week ahead of where February vacation would have fallen. And that's like a really nice break for all the teachers and for you guys, because you guys get out at like 11:45 every day. unless you have a makeup exam. So you're going to get like half days, which is really kind of nice. It's like a whole week of half days to side of like, feed yourself inside so you can get through the rest of it. And the fact that it is getting lighter every single day, like by mid-February, end of February, you're going to be getting like a lot more light in the evening, so your days are going to get extended. So March is always dragged, but I don't think February is going to be that bad because we have midterms in there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You're right. They are perfectly placed where we really need them. I'm interested as a teacher. Do you have any kind of ideas of combating, like, keeping kids engaged and making sure that they feel motivated as kind of like we progress through the school year?
I'm actually relieved that midterms are not like around the corner because my kids are not ready.
Yeah.
I really need to get them ready, and they'll be perfectly ready for the middle of February. That'll be actually perfect for them. I don't try and teach the entire 84 minutes. That would be silly. I try and do different things to engage the kids every day. Sometimes they appreciate them, sometimes they don't. But I do try and use a lot of different activities just to keep them using Spanish, but not like strictly by the book or by the computer, like other things like that. So I think if you try and mix things up and use different outside activities, or even like, show a movie every once in a while just to, follow up with maybe what you're teaching about Spain or Mexico, whatever, but to give the kids a break from the computer and just like, learning in a different way, different format, hands-on.
I agree. I think that's really important. Yeah. And as students specifically, I know you said that, like, looking forward to the weekend, but specifically to, like, combat feeling like you don't want to do work and, like, procrastination. I know that's something that I deal with a lot.
The senior slump.
The senior slump.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening.
You're a senior. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
How do you plan on making sure that you are as focused and engaged as you can be as a student? Besides looking forward to the weekends.
For me, it's just I don't procrastinate. I don't procrastinate a lot because I have so much to do during the school day, like whether it's getting all my homework done, whether it's keeping up with my classwork, but I'm also involved in the musical as well as Braden, and so that comes with rehearsals every day after school, and sometimes I'm here until about 9:30 at night, so I really have no room to procrastinate. I have no option, and so I just try and picture like how relieved I'm going to be at the end of every day. And as soon as I get home from rehearsal, my only goal is to fall asleep. And that helps a lot.
Get ready for bed and just
Exactly.
ready for the new day.
Yeah, normally I just like push it off to like later. Just like, yeah, I'll do it later, but I never do. So I just try to do it in like advisory or like just extra class time.
Yeah. I know I'm grateful for advisory because,
Yeah.
do you remember having the like 1 day a week 20-minute advisory on Wednesdays? Yeah, that we did nothing. Like
We played games.
We played games. You're right, we did play games. But yeah, I'm so grateful to have 2 40-minute blocks to just kind of like being at work, to like get help from teachers that I may need.
I should do that. I spend my advisory talking to Mr. Bren.
Yeah, that's not something to admit on the air.
It's okay, it's fine.
But I do agree that advisory is a great time to do homework, and I also think that it's a great time, as we talked about, as we talked about combating seasonal depression, hanging out with friends during advisory, like going to an advisory where your friend is at, and then doing work together, or just like Mia said, talking to Mr. Brand. That's something that brings her happiness.
Yeah, it does.
And you had something to say, Finn?
I was just gonna say that I have a bunch of free time to do work, but I really don't. I need to get better at that.
Oh,
freshman?
well, yeah, it's a freshman. Like, what can I say? Yeah, and that'll come with like as you kind of progress through high school.
Yeah.
This is your first year as a high schooler, so getting into the routine of doing it. Speaking of routine, new question: how have you been settling into your routine post break, post strike? I know that as seniors, we have senior privilege. So, like, what do you do during senior privilege, and what does your routine look like?
Spend all my money on Whole Foods, right? You
the only
don't
one
do
who
that?
does
No.
You do it too!
I've done that twice with you.
Okay, I guess
and
it's just
for
Instigator.
students who don't have senior privilege, what does that look like? We know how that looks like, but like, how do you manage 4 classes a day plus homework and extracurriculars?
Remember when we had 4 classes?
I still do one of the days.
Remember when we had 4 classes?
Barely. I have 2 classes a day.
After the strike, I feel like our teachers did a pretty good job just getting straight back into the topic we were learning before the strike. And I feel like it just went from there.
And how has the transition from middle school to high school been?
It's been good. Yeah, high school is definitely harder than middle school,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm getting used to it.
Yeah. And do you like the classes that you're taking? You said that you're on the Bruins team.
Yeah, I love my teachers.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, love
I
my
was
own
on
classes.
Celtics.
I was also on Bruins.
Patriots.
Wow. Okay.
Why are we all separate teams?
We were all separated. Anthony, do you have any what are your outside activities besides hockey, or what is your schedule look like? What is your routine?
It's just wake up, school, go home, sleep, and then just repeat the process.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And this is your second year as a high schooler, sophomore, right? How has that transition been? You're kind of going up the chain in terms of seniority and experience. So how has that kind of felt different from freshman year?
I mean, I don't feel any different from last year, but it didn't get much harder, so it kind of just feels the same.
Yeah, that's good. That it didn't get much harder.
Good old times.
Good old times. Your schedule, your routine.
Oh, my schedule, my routine. So I wake up every morning at 6 a.m. ish.
I would hope so.
Sometimes. Well, I have vocal ensemble in the morning.
Oh,
So you
there
have
we
5
go.
classes a day.
Sometimes.
Including vocal.
Hmm
Yikes.
Yeah, and so I get up.
Come get me.
I'm in school in the chorus room, singing at 7:20 in the morning.
Beautiful.
It's
Love
great.
it. Love it.
And so then I go to school. I finish up my day. Sometimes I have a free block, but that's also because my music credits. But also on top of that is because I take the EMT prep course, and so every other day, so every Panther day, I have an EMT class. Which by the end of it, if you do everything correctly and pass the state exam, you can be a licensed and registered EMT, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
So that kind of disrupts my schedule every other day, but it's worth it.
Added Panther Day class. And Ms. Comiskey, I know that I was asking the students what their schedules are like, but what is your what is yours like as a teacher? I know both Mia and I want to be teachers.
Yeah.
So what is the life of a teacher like? Your teacher of the month. What is that like?
Well, this year I have an extra class, so I have 6 classes. So every day I have 3 classes.
Mhm.
So I get up at 5:15. I walk to the beach, which is over 1.5 miles. I come back, get ready for school, go for another walk with the dogs, come back, go to school. Depending on the day, I either go class, quick break, class, or I go break, class. That's my insane day. Yeah.
Yikes.
And then on my break, I do try and find time, which I'm doing really good now, of riding the bicycle at least for 20 minutes to clear my head and kind of get things ready. Then when I come home, I walk again. And then I obviously will sit down and prepare for the rest of the next day. And then hopefully find time to play my guitar and knit in the evening. Yeah.
And how do you manage grading and course kind of preparation on top of doing your hobbies and making sure that you have time for both?
Oh, thank God I've taught everything before.
Yeah.
So I keep everything. I keep everything.
Yeah.
This year I hadn't taught Spanish 3 honors in a long time, so I had to go back and find all that stuff. But the 2s, I have 2 2s and 2 3 honors, which is nice. They repeat.
Yeah.
Yes. But the 1s and the Spanish 5 APs, they're completely different from all the other classes.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, yeah, that's a little bit of a struggle, I
Yeah.
can imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we talked about schedule. We talked about our how we're gonna kind of combat feeling seasonal depression. Mia, do you have any questions for anybody?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know what to ask. Kelly kind of stole my intro. You talked about Saturday school, and I was gonna say, so how do we feel about Saturday school? But then you kind of brought it up.
Sorry about that.
It's alright.
Well. Okay.
No,
Well,
I'm kidding. I love Kelly.
Okay. Well, it looks like we're running out of time. So I think that this is a great place to end. Thank you all so much for coming in and sharing your experience as students and
Thank you,
teachers
Kelly.
of the month. Congratulations to all of you, by the way. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great rest of the day.
You too.
You too.